are talking Jaspers baseball. Hi again, everybody. I'm Marc Ernay alongside the coach, Dave Miller. Episode number 6, and this will be the celebratory episode, at least the first one, as you come off a 3-game sweep against Hartford in a series that wound up moving up to Connecticut. Didn't seem to faze the guys at all.
No, they just want to play baseball. I don't think if they care if they're home or away. It's just getting out there with a little bit nice weather and hitting some balls around.
Now, looking at these numbers from the doubleheader on Friday, a 7-5 win, a 14-4 win, then on Saturday, 17-6. And if that's not enough, the guys in your lineup are so locked in. Pete DeRocher, 11-game hitting streak. He was 9 for 15 in the series. He's putting up softball numbers. Daniel Perez, Trevor Hansen, both on 6-game hitting streaks. Jake Rad's 4-game hitting streak, 7 for 11 in the series. Marinelli, a 4-game hitting streak. He was 7 of 13 in the series. And Trevor Santos, who took an 0 for 5 in the series finale, what happened to him? He had a 9-game hitting streak going into that one. I mean, how do you cool these guys off? Not that you want to, but how would you cool these guys off?
I just think it's good for the guys. I mean, I know, first couple of games of the season, getting outside, I think they were really behind very good pitching. Like, they just weren't ready for it yet. And then as the weeks progressed and they're seeing more and more pitching, and then we go out to Texas and everybody seems to be 92 to 95, I think it was refreshing to come back home and they're just facing guys enough that they're starting to see the ball better, and they're making good, solid contact, quality at bats, and all that hard work that we did in the beginning, playing really good competition, is starting to pay off.
And before we get into what's coming up ahead, you've got Columbia and GW in the next 4 games. You're pitching. Will Hesselink, a solid 6 innings in the first game on Friday. You wound up having to throw Greg Shaw to start game 2 in that doubleheader, and then Rohrbeck with another solid start in the series finale. How's the pitching look in your eyes?
Will's been the Friday workhorse for us. We know he's going to go out there and give us a good 5 or 6 quality innings every day. He's going to go out and be your bulldog. We unfortunately had to leave a couple guys behind, recovering from some issues. So we had a Greg Shaw spot start, and all we were asking from him was to go out and really be an opener, give us one solid. He went out, I think he threw almost 2 or 3 innings.
He went 3, and then you had Mahoney go 4.
And then Mahoney has been, he's that middle of the, that middle guy that can heat up innings for us. Jack's been a huge piece to this building process with this Manhattan team. And then Darian, who was supposed to be our closer this year, we've now moved into the weekend starting rotation.
Yeah.
I think we'll bump him up to Saturday this weekend at GW, and we'll have O'Neill and Fagler back for this weekend to go on Sunday. Lining up for conference in a couple of weeks, I think we now have a pretty good idea of what our bats are going to look like and what our rotation and our bullpen is going to look like.
And I don't know how you feel about this, so I will ask, obviously, but from a defensive standpoint, 1 error in game 1 up at Hartford, no errors in game 2. I'm not going to talk about what happened on Thursday out at Hofstra, but 2 errors in 3 games up in Hartford. It doesn't matter who you're playing. If you catch the ball and throw the ball properly, 2 errors in 3 games looks pretty good.
One of the big things that we preach about is not allowing free bases. I mean, we want to limit walks, we want to limit hit batters, we want to limit bad throws on the field, overthrowing cutoff men and all that, but there's more to just fielding a ground ball. You got to field it and then you got to throw across the diamond. So we take a lot of pride in our practice plans every day, getting out there and working on our defense. Our outfield, we shifted our outfield around. We now moved Pete to center field, and we think Pete, he's a very, very good plus center fielder. We've actually learned that Trevor Santos is a better right fielder than he is a left fielder, and we've moved Frankie into left. So our outfield has really figured itself out. A lot of trial and error, and I guess I hope that's normal when a new coach comes in. I'm trying to figure out what the best, defensive alignment is for our guys, and it took me, I wanted 14 games through Texas to figure it out, and we're right on schedule.
How much does it help them at the plate, the fact that they have found comfortable spots in the outfield?
I think it works big time with their mental psyche. I mean, Trevor just looked very comfortable in right field, and when he's comfortable in right field, I think he's comfortable at the plate. And that's same with Pete out in center field. I think he's really a true center fielder, and you know, from a pro prospect, you know, ability, center field's where he's going to fit the best. You know, Frankie. Getting Frankie out of center field, he had made a couple mistakes early, dropping some fly balls, and him finding a comfort zone in left field has really, I think, freed his mind to not be so panicky when he's hitting. And now he's really starting to drive the ball to all fields with power.
Yeah, all right, before we look ahead to your next 4 games, you mentioned the word pride, which takes me back to Hofstra last week. Obviously, you were playing more in football conditions than baseball conditions, but that team coming off a CAA championship with Catalanato as their head coach, and Frankie, of course, led NYIT to the Division II World Series in their last year before the athletic department at Tech dissolved. How good are they?
They're a veteran-heavy lineup. I think 7 or 8 of their position players were seniors or 5th-year grad guys. That's always going to help any program when you have guys who are just battle-tested over the course of the years. Frank's done, you know, this is year 2 for Frank. I played against Frank all through pro ball. He is a very good, knowledgeable coach. He'll find a way to get the most out of his guys. He'll just keep putting together consistent, battle-tested programs. And he's got a nice little program out there right now that, you know, yeah, it was very cold, it was very windy. They were just better than us on that day.
In a game like that, where once again you're giving up multiple runs in the first inning, is it a case in the dugout of, here we go again?
It's tough to win a game when you're getting into the top of the second inning and you're down 3, 4, 5-0. That'll take a toll on you mentally, because you know you can easily come back from 1 or even maybe 2, but when you're boom just like that, down 3, 4, 5, you know you start to, you know, the panic button might set a little sooner. The guys might just be like, woe is me, here we go again, and then, you know, then it snowballs into the wrong direction. So, you know, we've got to do a better job of controlling the game early, getting our guys ready to go out and play. And, you know, we've been proven to be a team that we get going about the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th inning. So we've got to keep the game close until we really start to, you know, get an idea of what we're facing with the other team.
You need a bigger bus so that you can start throwing batting practice on the way to the venues, and then mentally maybe you start the game in the 2nd.
That might be right.
I know you can't do that. But that said, moving ahead toward what happened this weekend up in Hartford, you go from a situation like that at Hofstra. How high is the confidence level now going into this week against Columbia at GW?
Well, it's one of the things that we talked about as a coaching staff with the guys. I wanted to over prepare. So I mean, we want to put a hard schedule out so that these guys are facing the very best, so that when we get into conference level stuff, that we're overly confident. We're overly prepared, and I think that's really what it was for the guys. You know, they took their lumps early, but they took it like men. You know, they just kept working hard. They weren't down on themselves. They knew that, you know, every weekend was a better and better and better and better. And we're at the point now where, you know, I think after this weekend at GW, I don't think we leave the state of New Jersey or New York for the rest of the season. So we're going to be right where we need to be. This team is excited. They're ready to get after it and play ball. They're hungry. And this is where I think you're going to start to see some really good things from the Manhattan Jaspers.
All right, a little bit of a turf war on tap with your next game as you play Columbia, and they have had an interesting start to their season. They played Alabama when the Crimson Tide were ranked in the top 10 and wound up taking 2 out of 3. Obviously, that was a couple of weeks ago. Other things have happened with the Lions since then, including 2 of 3 losses at Tulane. But what have you seen on tape from Columbia?
I can tell you, Columbia can hit, and you know, Columbia's RPI is in the top. I think they're in the top 10. I mean, they were number 1 after they took 2 out of 3 from Alabama. So they haven't played any cookie cutters either. They're out there going up there. They're putting together a good schedule. They know they're going to be right at the top, you know, in the Ivy League this year when it comes down to them and Penn. I think are probably the two teams that were competing there, but they've just done a really good job of putting together a really good baseball program, and we got to come ready to play. Like I said, you know, we got to, from the first pitch of tomorrow's game, we got to come locked in.
You want to divulge your pitching plan for the game?
Well, tomorrow will be what we call
Bullpen
Johnny
home?
Holstaff. Yeah, I mean, you know, we had some guys stay home this weekend, so they're going to get a bullpen inning tomorrow. But
Okay.
you know, we have John Farley going to probably go out and start the game for us. We're hoping that he can give us a solid 3. And then, you know, we do have 6 to 7 guys that are each going to throw 1 inning.
Okay, and defensively, as in terms of the lineup in the field, the usual suspects?
It will be, you know, Frankie in left, Pete in center, Trevor in right, Trevor Hansen at third, Ryan Ash at short, Daniel Perez at second, Alfredo Delgado will man first base, and Raz will catch. DH we'll see, but you know, Ryan Eaton's been doing a very good job. We had another guy go down this weekend in warm-ups, Sahan Meyer, dove for a ball in warm-ups and kind of tweaked his knee, so that's a kid that we're going to have to rest for a couple of weeks. So we are running out of position players, but the guys that are out there, they're ready to give us everything they got.
We didn't compare notes before we came in to sit down, but you keep leading me right into my next question, so good job out of you. Ryan Ash at short, filling in for Jack, obviously.
Yeah.
Lynch remains on the injured list. What have you seen from him?
From
Ryan.
Ryan Ash, he's a kid that, you know, and I'm sure he's going to hate me for saying this, but when the season started, you know, he came into my office like, hey, coach, you don't have me doing anything in practice, and I kind of didn't even know his name. Like, it was like, you know, I'm sorry, I was overlooking him. But he's a kid that he doesn't have an off button. He works crazy hard. And he was a guy that just, the more and more I saw him, he came to us as a third baseman, but we needed an outfielder. Hey, coach, I'll go play. In the fall, I just had an idea of, let me just see you play a game at shortstop when we were playing Columbia, and we put him out there, and he did just fine. So when Jack went down, you know, we had Ryan playing some first base, and I just said, go over there, man, it's yours now. So until Jack's back, Ryan is going to man shortstop. He's still learning every day, but he's doing a fantastic job. And, you know, he's just a kid that wants to play the game, and he's playing it as hard as he can.
And you always want a kid who wants to do more, as opposed to, hey, coach, you put way too much on my plate, let's dial it back.
He's a run-through-a-wall guy for you, and I'm glad he's on the team.
And tell me a little bit about George Washington, who you get to see this weekend.
Well, Greg Ritchie's been a friend of mine for years. You know, we coached together in the Atlantic 10 against each other when he was at GW and I was at LaSalle. I mean, he's just a guy that's going to go out there and, you know, they're playing Maryland today. So we're hoping that Maryland, they use 30 pitchers today. But he's a guy that's going to go out there and he's going to do some crazy things. They bunt and run, they hit and run, they 2-0 hit and run. They do a lot of crazy things that you've got to be prepared for. So when we get out there and practice this week, we're going to practice a lot about, you know, maintaining the bunt and run game, the hit and run game. We've got to not leave our positions, but understand that they're going to try to do some crazy things.
And with the weather situation that you had last weekend, having to move all 3 games up to Hartford, you now have another 2.5 weeks until your official home opener on April 6th. How anxious is everybody, including yourself, to finally get up and have a game at Clover?
Yeah, I really look forward to getting out to Cloverfield, but again, I want to take it one game at a time. We're focused on being at Columbia tomorrow. You know, we played there this fall, so I have a lay of their land. You know, but we're going to worry about tomorrow first, then we're going to worry about GW. And I mean, I can't wait to talk to you about being home, but right now I'm not even there yet. So we're going to worry about this weekend and trying to take 4 this week.
Understood. Good luck, sir, as you go into Columbia on a 3-game winning streak, the first of the season.
Thank you.
We've been talking Jaspers baseball. That's the head coach, Dave Miller. I'm Marc Ernay. We'll see you next week right here on the Jaspers Sports Network.